Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, today we'll start with The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. Act 1, Scene 1. The text Venice a street. At first enter Antonio, Salarino, and Salinio. Antonio says, in sooth, I know not what I am so sad. It worries me, you say it worries you. But how I caught it, found it, or came by it. What stuff is made of, whereof it is born, I am to learn. And such a want with sadness make of me, that I have much ado to know myself. Now, Salarino says, your mind is tossing on the ocean, there where your argosies with portal sail, like signors and rich burghers on the flood, or as it were the pigeons of the sea, do overpeer the pretty traffickers, the crusty to them do them reverence, as they fly by them with their woven wings. Salanio says, believe me, sir, had I such venture forth, the better part of my affections would be with my hopes abroad. I should be still plucking the grass to know where sits the vine, peering in maps for ports and piers and roads and every object that might make me fear. Misfortune to my ventures out of doubt would make me sad. My wind cooling my broth, Salarino says, would blow me to an ague, and when I thought what harm a wind too great at sea might do, I should not see the sandy hour grass run, but I should think of swallows and of flats, and see my wealthy Andrew docked in sand, weighing her high top lower than her ribs to kiss her burial. Should I go to church and see the holy edifice of stone, and not bethink me straight of dangerous rocks, which touching but my gentle vessel side, would scatter at her species on the stream, enrobe the roaring waters with my skills, and in a word, but even now worth this, and now worth nothing. Shall I have the thought to think on this? And shall I lack the thought that such a thing be and would make me sad? But tell not me, no, Antonio is sad to think upon his merchandise. Now Antonio says, believe me, no, I thank my fortune for it. My ventures are not in one bottom trusted, not to one place, nor is my whole estate upon the fortune of this present year. Therefore, my merchandise makes me not sad. Salarino says, why then you are in love? Antonio says, for. Salarino, not in love neither. Then let us say you are sad, because you are not merry, and 'twere as easy for you to laugh and leap and say you are merry, because you are not sad now by two-headed chins. Nature hath framed strange fellows in her time, some that will evermore peep through their eyes and laugh like parrots at a bagpiper. and other of such vinegar aspect that they will not show their teeth in way of smile. Though Nestor swear the jest be laughable, enter Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Gratiano. Salanio says, here comes Bassanio and your most noble kinsman, Gratiano and Lorenzo, fare ye well. We leave you now with better company. Salanino, I would have stayed till I had made you merry. It, worthier friends, had not prevented me. Now Antonio says, your worth is very dear in my regard. I take it your own business calls on your and you embrace an occasion to depart Salerno. Good morrow, my good lords. Now Stanio enters and says, good signors both, when shall we laugh? Shall when? You grow exceeding strange. Must it be so? Now Salarino says, we'll make our leisure to attend on yours. Exeunt Salarino and Salarino. Lorenzo, my lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonio, we too will leave you, but in dinner time, I pray you have in mind where we must meet. Sanio, I'll not fail you. Graciano, you look not well. Signor Antonio, you have too much respect upon the world, they lose it. That do buy it with much care. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. Antonio says, I hold the world, but as the world, Graciano, a stage where every man must play a role, a part, and mine a sad one. Graciano says, let me play the fools with mirth and laughter, let old wrinkles come, and let my liver rather heat with wine than my heart cool with mortifying groans, which should a man whose blood is warmed within sit like his grandshire cat in alabaster, sleep when we wake and creep into the jaundice. By being peevish, I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee, and it is my love that speaks. There are a sort of man whose visage do cream and mantle like a standing pond, and do a wilful stillness entertain, with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, gravity, profound conceit, as who should say, I am Sir Oracle. And when I ope my lips, let no dog bark. Oh, my Antonio, I do not know of these, that therefore only are raptured wise for saying nothing. When I am very sure, if they would speak, would almost damn those ears, which hearing them would call their brothers fools. I'll tell three more of this another time, but prince not. With this melancholy boy, for this fool guardian, this opinion, come good Lorenzo, fare ye well a while. I'll end my exhortation after dinner. Now Lorenzo says, well, we will leave you then till dinner time. I must be one of these same damned wise men, for Graciano never lets me speak. Now Graciano says, well, keep me company but 2 years more, thou shalt not know the sound of thine own tongue. Antonio, farewell. I'll grow a talker for this gear. Graciano, thanks. I faith for silence is only commendable. In a niche tongue, dried and a made not vendible. Exeunt Graciano and Lorenzo. Now Antonio says, is that anything now? Sanio, Graciano speaks, and an infinite deal of nothing more than any man in all Venice. His reasons are as to grains of wheat hid in two wells, the blushes of chaff you shall seek all day ere you find them. And when you have them, they are not worth the search. Antonio says, well, tell me now, what lady is the same to whom you share a secret pilgrimage that you too do promise to tell me of? Now Bassanio says, this not unknown to you. Antonio, how much I have disabled mine state by something showing a more swelling port than my faint means would grant continuance. Nor do I now make moan to be abridged from such a noble rate, but my chief care is to come fairly off from the great days wherein my time something too prodigal hath left me gaze to you, Antonio, over the most in money and in love, and from your love I have a warranty to unburden all my plots and purposes, how to get clear of all the debts I owe. Are you understanding the conversation? Are you understanding the conversation between Antonio, Bassanio, etc.?
ইয়েস, কিন্তু ম্যাম শোনা যাচ্ছে না ঠিক মতো। আই থিঙ্ক নেটওয়ার্ক ইস্যু আছে।
Maybe. Okay. Now, Antonio says, I pray you, good Bassanio, let me know it, and if it stand, as you yourself still do within the eye of honor, be assured, my person, my extremist means lie all unlocked to your oceans. Bassanio, in my school days when I had lost one chap, I shot his fellow of the self-same flight, the self-same way, with more advised watch to find the other fourth, and by adventuring both, I oft found both. I urge this childhood proof because what follows is pure innocence. I owe you much, and like a willful youth, that which I owe is lost, but if you please to shoot another arrow that self way which you did, shoot the first, I do not doubt, as I'll watch the aim, or to find both or bring your letter hazard back again, and thankfully rest debtor for the first. Antonio, you know me well, and herein spent but time to wind about my love with circumstances, and out of doubt you do me now more wrong in making question of my uttermost than if you had made waste of all I have. Then do but say to me what I should do, that in your knowledge may be me be done, and I am praised unto it. Therefore speak, Bassanio. In Belmont is a lady richly led, and she is fair and fairer than that world of wondrous virtues sometimes from our eyes. I did receive fair speeches message. Her name is Portia. Nothing undervalued to Catu's daughter Brutus Portia, not is the war. while ignorant of our worth. For the four winds blow in from every coast, renowned suitors and her sunny looks hang on our temples like a golden fields, which makes our seat of Belmont cultures stand, and many jasons come in quest of our oh my Antonio, had I but the means to hold a rival place with one of them, I have a mind presages me such threat that I should questionless be fortunate. Antonio now says, thou knowest that all my fortunes are at sea, neither have I money nor commodity to raise a present sum. Therefore, go forth, try what my credit can in Venice do, that shall be racked, even to the uttermost, to furnish thee to Belmont to fair Portia. Go presently, inquire, and so will I, where money is, and I no question make to have it of my trust or for my sake exempt. Now in scene 2, where we find Belmont, a room in Portia's house, enter Portia and Nerissa. Portia says, by my thought, Nerissa, my little body is weary of this great world. Nerissa says, you would be sweet, madam, if your miseries are, and yet, for aught I see, they are as sick that surfeit with too much as they that starve with nothing. It is no mean happiness, therefore, to be seated in the mean. Superfly comes sooner by white hairs, but competency lives longer. Portia says, good sentences and well pronounced. Nerissa says they would be better, it well followed. Portia again says, if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches and poor good to maids. Cottages, princes, places. It is a good divine that follows his own instructions. I can easier teach 20 what were good to be done than be one of the 20 to follow mine own teaching. The brain may devise laws for the blood, but a hot temper leaps over a cold decree. Such a hair is madness, the youth, to skip over the meshes of good counsel, the cripple, but this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband, O me. The world choose I may, neither choose whom I would nor refuse whom I dislike. So is the will of a living daughter carved by the will of a dead father. It is not hard, Nerissa, that I cannot choose one nor refuse none. Nerissa says, your father was ever virtuous, and holy men at their death have good inspirations, therefore, the lottery that he hath devised in these three chests of gold, silver, and lead, whereof who chooses his meaning, chooses you, will no doubt never be chosen by any rightly, but one who shall rightly love. But what warmth is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors that are already come? Portia says, I pray thee, over name them, and as thou namest them, I'll Describe them and according to my description level at my affection. Nerissa says first, there is the Napoleon Prince Portia. Ah, that's cold indeed. For me doth nothing but talk of his horse, and he makes it a great appropriation of his own good parts that he can show him himself. I am much afraid my lady his mother played false with a smith. Nerissa says, then there is the country palatine. Portia says, he doth nothing but frown, as who should say, if you will not have me choose, he hears merry tales and smiles not. I fear he will prove the weeping philosopher when he grows old, being so full of unmerely sadness in his youth. I had rather be married to a death's head with a bone in his mouth than to either of these. God defend me from these two. Nerissa says, how say you by the French Lord Monsieur Le Bon? Portia says, God made him and therefore let him pass for a man. In truth, I know it is a sin to be a mocker. But hey, why, he hath a horse better than the Napoleons, a better bad habit of throwing them. The Count Palatine, he is every man in no man. If a throstle sing, he falls straight a capering, he will fence with his own shadow. If I should marry him, I should marry 20 husbands. If he would despise me, I would forgive him, for if he love me to madness, I shall never requite him. Nerissa says, what say you then to Falconbridge, the young Falcon of England? Portia now says that you know he hath neither Latin, French, nor Italian, and you will come into the court and swear that I have a poor pennyworth in the English. He is a proper man's picture, but alas, who can converse with a dumb show? How oddly he is suited. I think he bought his double in Italy, his round horse in France, his bonnet in Germany, and his behavior everywhere. Nerissa said, what think you of the Scottish lord, his neighbor, who says that there is a thing about Portia says that he hath a neighborly chattel in him, for he borrowed a box of the ear of the Englishman and sure he would pay him again when he was able. I think the Frenchman became his surely and sealed under for another. Nerissa says, how like you, the young German and Duke of Saxon's nephew. Portia says, very wildly in the morning when he is sober, and mostly vividly in the afternoon. When he is drunk, when he is best, he is a little worse than a man, and when he is worse, he is little better than a beast. And the worst fall that ever fell, I hope I shall make shift to go without him. Nerissa says, if he should offer to choose and choose the right casket, you should refuse to perform your father's will, if you should refuse to accept him. Portia says, therefore, for fear of the roast, I pray thee set a deep glass of rings wine on the contrary cascade, for if the devil be within and that temptation without, I know he will choose it. I will do anything. Nerissa, here I will be married to a sponge. Nerissa says, you need not fear. Lady, the having any of these lords, they have acquainted with me with their determinations, which is indeed to return to their home and to trouble you with no more sweet unless you may be won by some other sort than your father's imposition, depending on the caskets. Now, Portia says, if I live to be as old as Sibylla, I'll die as chaste as Diana. Unless I be obtained by the manner of my father's will, I am glad this parcel of Uras are so reasonable, for there is not one among them, but I dote on his very absence, and I pray God grant them a fair departure. Nerissa says, do you not remember? Lady, in your father's time, a Venetian, a scholar, and a soldier, that came hither in company of the Marquis of Montfort. Portia says, yes, yes, it was Sanyo, as I think he was so called. Now Nerissa says, true, madam, he of all the men that ever my foolish eyes looked upon was the best deserving a fair lady. Portia says, I remember him well, and I remember him worthy of this thy praise. Enter a serving man, how now what news? The servant says, the four strangers seek for you, madam, to take their leave. And there is a forerunner come from a fief, the Prince of Morocco, who brings word the prince, his masters, will be here tonight. And Portia says, if I could bid the fifth welcome with so good as I can bid the other for farewell, I should be glad of his approach. If he have the condition of a saint and the complexion of a devil, I had rather he should shave me than with me. Come, Nerissa, Sirrah, go before, whilst we shut the gates upon one word. Another knocks at the door. Exeunt. Now in scene 3, Venice, a public place, where enter Bassanio and Shylock. Shylock 3,000 ducats, well, Bassanio a sar 1,000 for 3 months, Shylock for 3 months, well, Bassanio for the which, as I told you, Antonio shall be bound. Shylock, Antonio shall become bound, well, Bassanio, may you stead me, will you pleasure me? Shall I know your answer? Shylock says, 3,000 ducats for 3 months and Antonio bound. Bassanio, your answer so that Shylock, Antonio is a good man. Bassanio, have you heard any intuition to the contrary? Shylock says, oh, no, 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 no. My meaning in saying he is a good man is to have you understand me that he is sufficient. Yet his means are in supposition. He hath an argosy bound to Tripolis, another to the Indies. I understand moreover upon the Richelieu, he had a third at Mexico, a fourth for England, and other ventures he had squandered abroad. But ships are but boats, sailors but men, there be land rats and water thieves, and water thieves, I mean pirates. And then there is a peril of waters, winds, and rocks. The man is notwithstanding sufficient 3,000 ducats. I think I may take his bond. Bassanio says, be assured you may. Shylock says, I will be assured I may, and that I may be assured I will. Blinked me, may I speak with Antonio? Bassanio replies, if it please you to dine with us. Shylock says, yes, to smell pork, to eat to the habitation which your prophet, the Nazareth, conjured the devil into. I will buy you, with you, shall with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so fallen. But I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pray with you. What news on the Richelieu? Who is the calm here? Enter Antonio. Bassanio, this is Signor Antonio. Shylock says, aside, how like a foreign publication he looks. I hate him, for he is a Christian. But more for that, in low simplicity, he lends out money gratis and brings down the rate of alms upon him. I'll feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. He hates our sacred nation, and he reigns even there where merchants most do congregate. Oh me, my bargains, and my well-worn third, which he calls interest, cursed me by my tribe if I forgive him. Bassanio says, Shylock, do you hear? Shylock says, I am debating of my present store, and by the near gaze of my memory, I cannot instantly raise up the gross of full 3,000 ducats. Part of that tubal, a wealthy harbour of my tribe, will furnish me. But soft, how many months do you desire to Antonio? Rest your fear, good Signor. Your worship was the last man in our mouths. Okay, this is enough for today. It will be continue in the next day. Okay, is there any problem with this topic? Are you understanding this?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম একটু একটু।
Okay, it will be more clear when you read this story. Okay, then we'll meet in the next class. I'm concluding the class here. Okay, thank you.